Let's read this. This is Hebrews chapter 3. This is not part of a series or anything. This is just where I felt God lead me as I was reading scripture this week. And chapter 3, verse 7. So, as the Holy Spirit says, today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts, as you did in the rebellion during the time of testing in the wilderness, where your ancestors tested and they tried me, though for 40 years they saw what I did. This is why I was angry with that generation. I said, their hearts are always going astray, and they have not known my ways. So I declared an oath in my anger that they shall never enter my rest. They'll never enter the promised land. That's meaning there. To see to it, brothers and sisters, that none of you has a sinful, unbelieving heart that turns away from the living God, but encourage one another daily, as long as it is called today, so that none of you may be hardened by sin's deceitfulness. Okay, let's leave it there. Today, I love this, mentions today a few times in this passage. Today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts, as you did in the time in the wilderness. So there's a bit of backstory, as you did in the time in the wilderness. This backstory here, this is kind of referring to a time in God's people's history where God had promised to lead them into an amazing land that was going to be really good for them, into his promises and into his plans for them, a place where they could settle and flourish and live. And they used to be in slavery, and God's like, you're not going to be in slavery anymore. I'm going to give you a land, and it's going to be a good land for you, and it's going to be a great place for you, and you're going to be my people there. And he's given them all of these promises, but they are at one end of a wilderness desert, and the promised land is at the other side of the wilderness desert. And so they've got to get one side of the desert to the other side of the desert, and they don't have any Google Maps. And what they're supposed to be doing instead is they're supposed to be listening to God, listen to his voice, obey what they hear, trust that he knows the way, trust that when they encounter all sorts of different difficulties and challenges, that he's still leading them in the way that they need to go. And as they walk with him, as they trust him, he's going to lead them into the promised land. That's the idea of what's going on there. And so, what I've discovered, just the last year, I've been like, no way. But God is just obsessed with people trusting him. It seems to be like that's his biggest thing in God's heart, is he is super interested in God, in people trusting him and being in a trust-filled relationship with him. In fact, God is much less interested in how well you're doing at every single little thing in life, and much more interested in how you are trusting him as you're doing it, okay? Like, do you hear that? Okay, I think I've got it on the screen. God is much less interested in how well you are doing in every little thing in life, and much more interested in how much you are trusting him and relating to him and relying on him and doing it with him than he is about anything else. It's by faith, by trust, not by works that we're saved. God is massively interested in you relating to him. Whenever you read in the Bible the words belief or faith or trust, which is just all the time, it's speaking about this trust relationship with God. And in fact, I find it really helpful when I read the Bible, is because whenever you read the word faith, it's just as easily translated as trust. And I find it really helpful to kind of, in my head, go, trust. Because I don't know about you, but when I read have faith in the Bible, I'm kind of thinking about me. I'm thinking, well, I've got to have faith. I've got to conjure up some faith here. I've got to be more faithful here. But when I say the word trust, I'm thinking about God. And actually, the word for faith in the Bible, pistis, can be translated either faith or trust. And I quite like the fact that trust leans into God a bit more. God is more and more interested in you leaning into him and trusting in him than how well you're ticking every box and doing well at everything. By faith, by trust, that's what he's interested in. And I'm trying to think why. Like, why is God this obsessed with us trusting him, because it crops up all over the place. Just crops up for these guys in the wilderness. This was what he wanted for them. Trust me. Walk with me. And I think it's because this is actually how we've been made. This is the human God design of the world. This is how we're wired. This is the way the relationship has been set up to work, is we are made to be with God. We are made to be dependent upon God. Okay? Like we are made to lean into him, to be with him. Like a branch relies on a vine. Like a lung relies on breath and air. Like a sheep relies on a shepherd. Like a head and a body, like a bride and a groom. All of these images that are scattered throughout Scripture is about togetherness, about reliance, about dependence. We are made, designed, wired in such a way that we are supposed to be with God. And so if that's how God's made you, he's made you to function in a state of constant relationship and reliance upon him. That's why he's calling you all the time to trust him, to walk with him, to put your faith in him, to believe in him, to lean on him, to ask him, to call out to him, to pray to him. Like, that's what he wants from you, because that's how you are designed to function and operate. And when you do those things, when you cry out, when you lean on him, when you trust him, what are you doing? You're walking with him, aren't you? You're doing it all with him, which is God's heart. It's what he wants. He wants to just do it all with you. If we lean on him and we trust him all the time, then we're going to have to, the only way to do that is to listen to his voice, to spend time with him, to talk to him, to live responsively with him, to kind of do each and every today that there is with him. And this is just an obsession that God's got throughout the whole Bible, that you would do life with him, and that you would be in a trust-filled relationship with him. Not that you do everything brilliantly and tick every single box and look like the perfect Christian, but you just do it dependent on him and with him. So back to the backstory. The Israelites are at one end of the wilderness. And God's like, right, I'm going to lead you through the wilderness. But it's probably not going to be that comfortable. It's a wilderness after all. But I want you to follow me. I want you to listen to me, obey me, walk with me, trust me. And then I'm going to take you into the promised land. That's kind of the deal. And so they set off on this journey. But not far into the journey, it kind of starts going wrong. Not far into the journey at all. In fact, even before they set off on the journey, some stuff starts to get in. Their hearts start to change. Their attitude and their relationship with God and their trusting God and their dependence on God and the whole doing it with God thing starts to shift. And it says here, their hearts got hardened. It says here in Psalm 95, their hearts were always going astray. Always go. So they've barely started the journey and the hearts are having this hardening moment. And I think I've experienced this a number of times in my life, where you're journeying and the journey leads to a shift in your heart. And we've got to be careful of this. Got to really be careful of this. Now, back in April, many of you know that I took a sabbatical last year. Had the best 2025 ever, I did. It was so good. Shall I do another one this year? Okay. I'll not. I'll wait. But I decided that the very first week of my sabbatical, I was going to do a pilgrimage, okay? Pilgrimage is where you go on a walk, spiritual walk with God, and usually you can do some of them that last for months, some of them just last a day or so. But I was going to do a week-long pilgrimage. And so I travelled up to Scotland, and I was doing the St. Cuthbert's Way, which is an ancient pilgrimage that journeys through it goes from Melrose in Scotland and journeys over the course of a week out to Holy Island. You end up on Holy Island, and it's just beautiful, amazing walk. And I'm thinking when I'm planning this thing, well, that's what I'll do. That'll be amazing. Well, I've got a sabbatical, my first week. What am I going to do? Fresh air, everything on my back, Bible in my hand. It's just going to be amazing. It's going to be spiritually profound. I'm going to be super holy. It's going to be amazing. I found a guidebook. I got a guidebook and I'm reading about it. And I'm looking at this guidebook, and it says, you can do this walk in 7 days, and it's a nice walk. It says you can do this walk in 6 days, and it's a medium level walk. And then you can do this day in 5 days, this walk in 5 days, and it's an advanced level walk, okay? I guess what I decided to do. Without any training, without any particular experience, I just thought, well, I got a Duke of Edinburgh award when I was 15. I reckon I'm advanced. That's advanced level, surely. No experience of multiple day walks. I've done some walks, okay, but I've not done some multiple day walks. So I started this journey like, this is going to be amazing. This is just going to be brilliant. You know, and now, first of all, I had to set off from Middlesbrough. So I've got to get up to Melrose in Scotland, and you can't really take the car because you're walking for 5 days. And so I got the train up to somewhere and then got 2 buses out. And then what I hadn't quite realised is that the day one, which is the heaviest day of walking, I didn't get to the starting position until 12:30 in the afternoon. And then I'm looking at this guidebook and I'm thinking, right, okay, so I've got to get 21 miles from Melrose to Jedburgh, a place called Jedburgh, with this pack on me back in about 8 hours. Because I then realised, a little bit into this, I realised, oh my word, there's no food places along. You're just walking over hills. There's no town. I thought I'd be strolling through towns with shops and chippies or something like that. There was nothing. It was just hills. I've got a few protein bars in my bag and that's it. And then I'm like, well, I've got to make it to Jedburgh, the only town 21 miles away, and I've got to make it before what time? I get the Google out and I'm like, well, the Indian restaurant, the only one that opened the latest on that day in Jedburgh, closed at 8:30 at night. So I've got 8 hours to travel 21 miles. So suddenly I've got a time limit. Like I'm freaking out. I'm thinking, like this was supposed to be the most beautiful, lovely walk ever. And I'm getting like a few miles into this, and suddenly the narrative of how beautiful and wonderful this walk was going to be suddenly began to change. And suddenly that backpack 2 miles in started feeling a lot heavier than when it first started. My shoes that were brand new and were feeling, oh, these are going to be great shoes to go walking in, suddenly started to hurt a lot more a couple of miles in. And I'm starting to think, man, I should have gone to a retreat centre. Shouldn't have done a stupid pilgrimage. This is absolutely ridiculous. And so all of my hopes, my dreams, my aspirations, my thoughts of how this pilgrimage was going to go suddenly blew out the window, and you suddenly start questioning, do I keep going? Do I trust? Did I get it wrong? Like, God, did you want to meet me out here, or did you want me in a lovely retreat centre somewhere else? Like, God, it's not supposed to be like this. It's supposed to be spiritual. I was stressed. Massively stressed, thinking I'm not going to make it to Jedburgh in time. I'm not going to have any food tonight. I'm going to be camping, walking in the dark, getting lost. I was stressed instead of feeling holy. It's supposed to be a beautiful walk in the countryside and look like Bear Grylls' survival test in the end. But I'm thinking, like, you've had journeys like this in life, don't you? Like, life is a crazy journey. I know that's like the cheesiest illustration ever, but life is one of these crazy journeys where there are obstacles and unexpected things, and just the reality of walking it day in, day out is very, very different than your expectations, isn't it? When you start out, it just isn't. And how often do you reach those days where you're like, oh God, it wasn't supposed to be like this. You told me that if I followed you, we're going on a journey together and I'm going to reach the promised land and you've got good things for me and you're going to lead me through all these times and we're going to head there. But the reality doesn't feel like that as I'm walking with you. We regularly hit times on the journey that are very different from our expectations. And those moments, by the way, are the moments where our hearts can become hardened. The moments that we have to be really cautious and careful of, because our hearts can get harder, and cynicism and bitterness and just that steady drip, drip, drip of stepping away from God and veering off the path that God's got you to walk on can set in. And King David knew this when he wrote Psalm 95, which the Hebrews guy is quoting there. And his cry is, today, do not harden your hearts. hearts. Like he knows this. He's like, today, do not harden your hearts. And then the writer of Hebrews knows it because he's like, to you, he says, see to it, brothers and sisters. See to it, brothers and sisters, that none of you has a sinful, unbelieving heart that turns away from the living God. I read that at the beginning of the week, and I know it feels like a heavy line, that, but I don't think it's heavy this morning, what God's got for you. I think it's just a beautiful, loving statement. I think there's power in this statement for you this morning as we kick off a new year. See to it, brothers and sisters, that none of you have a sinful, unbelieving heart. Hear the voice of a pastor speaking that over you. See to it, brothers and sisters, that none of you has got a sinful, unbelieving heart that turns away from the living God. Because at times like this, it's great to have one of those moments in the journey. You know, like this sort of turn in the year, that in-betweeny time that you've just come through. You've had all the busyness of Christmas, and then you've kind of got that little gap, and many of you had a bit of rest over this week, and you're reflecting on last year, and you're thinking about the next year. This is a great one of those check yourselves moments. How's your journey with God going? How's your walk with God going? Are you walking in a trusting, close relationship with God? Or actually, are you walking alone at the moment? Check yourselves. See to it, brothers and sisters. Check yourselves. Where are you walking? How are you walking? Who are you walking with? Let's have a moment at the beginning of this year. Let's do it. Let's do it today. I love the today phrase. This really grabbed me this week, this today thing. Like today, it says in verse 13, it says, encourage one another daily as long as it's called today. As long as it's called today. I love that phrase. As long as it's called today. What day is it today? It's today? He's talking about today. He wrote this 2,000 years ago, and the day he's talking about is today. And it's today. So today's the day he's talking about today. What a coincidence, eh? He's talking today, guys. Today, let's check ourselves today. Before we step any further into 2026, before it really gets going, let's have a moment. Let's do a little Google Maps direction check. How are you doing? How's the walk going? Are you walking with God, or are you walking by yourself? Are you walking his path, or have you veered off a little bit? Are you walking in his ways, or are you walking in your own ways? Is your heart soft, or has your heart become hard? Check yourselves today. See to it, brothers and sisters. Don't let your hearts become hard, and do not walk away from the living God. And he says, as long as it's called today, encourage each other, that's important, but so that none of you may be hardened by sin's deceitfulness, he says. How many of you know that phrase is true? You get hardened by the deceitfulness of sin. It's the thing about your heart getting hardened, by the way. What I've noticed is usually your heart doesn't become hard because you make one mistake or because you veer off the path all of a sudden. Usually your heart goes hard one day at a time. One wrong turn after one wrong turn. The slow drip, 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 bit by bit, today after today after day of the deceitfulness of sin. It creeps in slowly, deceitfully, slyly, and it takes us away from our walk with God, where you're intended to be with God. And slowly, we can just veer and drift away from walking with God. And I've seen this happen. Like every now and again, you get somebody who makes a big decision to walk away from God. But that's really rare, actually. But what isn't quite so rare, and heartbreakingly isn't quite so rare, is the countless examples of people who slowly drift away from walking with God. And that's because walking with God actually takes purpose. Because it's a relationship, and relationships takes purpose. You want to have a healthy marriage, what you got to do? You've got to purposefully work on them. You've got to communicate. You've got to spend time together. You've got to talk to each other, listen to each other. You've got to walk with each other, journey together, hear from each other, respond to each other. Relationships of trust take intentional decisions and work. Like, you've got to do something about it. Whereas drifting takes no work at all. Drifting just means you get to do nothing. In fact, if you do nothing about your relationship with God, I think your default position will probably be that you drift away from him. Drifting is just what happens. And the deceitful whispering of sin loves it when a disciple of Jesus just stops talking to Jesus, stops listening to Jesus, stops relating to other brothers and sisters and being encouraged by them, stops checking themselves for sin, checking their walk, having those moments where you're like, I've got to see to it today about how am I walking today, about where am I walking today, who am I walking with today. Like, and it slyly works its way into our lifestyle and we start to drift. And when we drift, like, we drift away from that relationship with God, that thing that you are made for, by the way. You're made to walk with God, away from where he's leading you, away from him that you're made to be with. And that's what happened in the wilderness, by the way. These guys at one end of the wilderness, they start wandering around that wilderness for 40 years. 40 years. And so today, let's check ourselves, because I don't want to drift. I don't want 2026 be spent drifting away from God. I want to intentionally walk with him and step in with him and relate to him. So I'm going to check myself at the beginning of this year. How am I walking? What am I doing to walk well with God? What am I doing to listen to God? What am I doing to keep my heart soft instead of hardened? Has sin hardened me at all? Is there any other stuff that I actually want to leave at the door of 2025? That's the stuff I want to leave in yesterday and not carry forward into today. Is there any of that stuff? Any of that unmet expectations, disappointment, cynicism, unforgiveness, habits of sin, grumbling, that just the stuff that gets set in your heart and it begins to harden you? Any of that stuff you actually just want to leave in the background? Rowan's nodding, that's good. Thank you, Rowan. Any of that stuff you just want to leave? Today's the day. I love that. I love that. And the word today, by the way, again, I just feel like the word today in this is the greatest gracious offer. Is that today's the day you get to do that. Like, it don't quite matter what happened yesterday, because today's today. Like, today's not yesterday anymore. And by the way, you can't do anything about tomorrow because you're not going to sure what's going to happen tomorrow. So let's leave yesterday to be yesterday and let's make today today. And so today is the most cool, gracious offer to you ever. Is today you get to walk with God. Today you get to step in line with him. You get to say, God, I don't care how yesterday went or whether I veered off the track yesterday, because today I want to step into you. Today I want to walk with you. Today I want to soften my heart and welcome you in afresh. Today I want to be a with God person. Today is an epic, gracious offer to you. Like, you've got today. You got it today. It's a beautiful, fresh gift to you. It's a branch being offered to you. Walk with God, hand in hand. Sheep and shepherd, bride and groom, branch and vine. Like, do you want to walk with him? Turn with me to the chapter 4, just the next chapter over, okay? Because I think this today bit gets even cooler. Chapter 4, verse 6. I've got it up on the screen as well. Have a little look at this. He does quite a complicated sentence around this time, so it's not the easiest read, but there's something really cool in it. And since those who formerly had the good news proclaimed to them and did not go in because of their disobedience, so he's talking here about people who've got yesterday wrong, okay? So that they walked it out. In fact, they got 40 years of it wrong. They walked it out wrong for 40 years. They've been messing on. They've been drifting away from God. They've not been walking in his ways. They've not been doing the with God life. And he says this to them: God again set a certain day and he called it today. For those people who got yesterday wrong, He's set aside a certain day and He's called it today. What day's today? Today! My word! He's set aside today for you, for anyone, for everyone, for anyone who is struggling, for anyone who's walking in sin, or anyone who's wandered off the right path, for anyone who's they've developed hardness of heart, for anyone who's struggling with habits of sin. He's set aside a certain day and He's called it today. Today, if you hear His voice, do not harden your hearts. Today is for you. Today is a gift to you from God. It's a new opportunity, a new start, a brand new bit of grace here for you. And no matter where your hearts have been yesterday, no matter what you've been walking through, no matter what the challenges that you're in the middle of, today you can choose to trust. You can choose to re-step into God. Choose to walk with Him again. Choose to follow His ways again. And remember, He's much less interested in how well you're doing the walk as to whether you're walking with Him or not. Close your eyes with me. The band come up. Let's just have a moment. Let's make this personal about us and our walk. Maybe do a little bird's eye view, zoom out on your life. Where are you at with this journey with God that He's got you on? What part of the journey are you in? Let's be honest about it, whether it's a good time or a hard time. Let's just be honest about, this is where I'm at in the journey. And let's be honest about whether we are walking this journey with God or not. Or whether actually you just know you're drifting. And it might be that actually you're ticking all the boxes and you're doing all the right things, but you just know you're actually drifting and you're not doing it with God. But God's obsession with you, His heart of love for you, is that you do it all with Him. It's why He would go through such lengths to come and, in the person of Jesus, and to die and to defeat death, is so that you can be with Him today and for all of eternity. And so if you're veering off, if you're honest and actually you've been walking this bit of the journey by yourself, then we declare over that was yesterday. And today I walk with you, Jesus. Today I walk in step with you. Today, Lord, may my heart be soft to your voice and to your leading. Would you be my shepherd and I be your sheep? Would you be my vine and I'll be your branch that's growing off of you? Would you be my bridegroom and I'll be your bride? I want to relate to you. I want to hear your voice. I want to respond obediently. I don't want to walk alone. I want to walk with you. I don't want to try and figure out every step. I just want to trust you. And for some of you this morning, like if you're walking in a really difficult season, then this ability to trust Him becomes even more acute, becomes harder, but becomes even more important. And God says, trust, just trust me. It's how I've designed you to operate. Trust me, walk with me. I'm leading you in ways that are good for you. I'm leading you into the promises that I've spoken over you. I'm leading all things into the wonderful renewal of everything. Would you walk with me? Jesus, we want to walk with you. Come and lead us forward, individually and as a church. And would you teach us today how to encourage each other and how to keep soft hearts, open ears, and that heart of trust. Amen.